Okay, hello, my name is Uncle Madd. I'm here, I'm live, I'm not a cat, and we are here to do a very special vlog where we're talking about the Titans, what they've done this offseason, we're talking about the upcoming NFL draft. We're breaking it all down for you here, and what better way to do it than by setting up a great round table of experts to discuss the draft, the Titans, everything that's been going on this offseason. You got me, you know me, I'm Uncle Madd. Number like 73 top Titans fan here. I've got my draft expert, the guy who's been grinding film, my buddy Kyle. Funny story. The last time Kyle appeared on this channel was also the last time we talked Titans on this channel. It was the Ravens-Titans playoff game where we did a live vlog from the game. By far the most popular vlog I've ever done on the channel. Thousands of views, hundreds of comments, and it was 100% all Ravens fans dancing on the grave of the Titans 2020 season. So many people jumping in the comments to talk crap to me. I tried to fire back. My best comeback was like, hey, you're probably going to lose in the next round, which they did, by the way. Ravens, you still suck. But Ravens fans who hated on us made that my best video ever. Come on, Ravens fans, jump into this one, watch the Titans draft with us.
That high.
Oh, it's insane. It's by far the most viewed, most popular video we ever had. But we've got Kyle. He's our draft expert. Here's the deal. He is a firefighter, so he's got a lot of downtime on his hands between saving lives. And he's grinding film. He's watching pro days. He's reading mock drafts. He's got 13 pages.
In college, I never had a paper, anything that was more.
This is literally
13 pages.
the biggest thing he's ever done.
Most effort.
You really had a document?
This is the info you need. We've also got Jesta. She is a former Titans banking member with Pinnacle. She got tickets to some games one time, so her expertise will come in handy here. And then we've also got Fake Madd. He went to more games than I did last season because I missed the home opener because nobody could go to the home opener. Then I missed 2 games due to work oblos, so he went to all 8 of the Titans home games last year. So I'm sure Fake Madd will have some insight here that he can help with in this draft discussion, this offseason review. This is the panel. This is the inner circle roundtable discussion. It's going to be great.
Yep. Is everybody ready to get down to business? Are you?
I'll probably go to bed.
She's probably going to go to bed. That's her contribution.
We may have already lost Justin. We've barely even started, but you can stick around even if she doesn't. So let's get into it. Okay, it's time to start things off. We've got the whole crew here ready to break everything down. By the way, we are watching the Braves versus the Cubbies live, so
they're actually winning. Things
are going really good right now, but if me and Kyle have any kind of weird reactions and that, know that that's what's going on over here. Great outdoor setup. Come by the house anytime if you want to party with us. It's going to be fun.
Anytime. She's a great hostess. She
Just,
wants you here. Whoever. Anybody that wants to come by, just come by.
We are stuffed with wings that I made that were delicious.
They were delicious. They were delicious.
Thank you. So, let's jump right into it. We're going to talk about the Titans. We're going to talk about the draft. This is the most prepared I've ever been for a vlog. I actually wrote some things down that I want to talk about so I'd remember what to talk about.
This is the most I've been prepared for anything in my life ever.
Kyle has a 13-page draft preview. This is the...
It's not front and back.
We need to contact
It's a large font,
we should both contact our professors at MTSU and be like, hey, look what we're doing now.
First off, I need you to log in.
Nobody's giving us grades.
What's your Wi-Fi? I need to be...
That one.
This one? Mm-hmm. We should have done this already.
Hey, if Jessica says our password out loud, I'm going to cut this part right here. Okay, so I've got a breakdown. We'll probably go all over the place just because that's how this vlog tends to go. But like I said, the last time we talked Titans on this vlog, it was the Ravens playoff game where pretty much me and Kyle were like, this sucks, the season's over, everything is crap. So we haven't talked about anything that happened in the offseason, so before we get to the draft, I thought this would be a good time. So let's look at what happened in the offseason. A lot of moves. I mean, I kind of wrote down last season, end of the season, we went to the AFC Championship game. The theme
on a terrible defense.
The theme seemed to be run it back. Let's bring back as many people as we possibly can, add a few pieces, and then it
wasn't the case.
It did not go so well.
They let everybody go.
So it seems like 2020 offseason was run it back. 2021 offseason seemed to be burn it to the ground.
They did.
Kyle, give me your thoughts. What do we do this offseason?
So I thought the surefire re-sign would have been Janoris Smith.
Mm-hmm.
I thought absolutely this guy just brings so much to the table. He works so hard to improve his blocking ability, his pass catching ability is obviously, I think, top 5, and apparently the Patriots think so as well. I thought we would lose Corey Davis. We got one good year from him, and I could justify letting him go. But I thought Janoris Smith was a big hit, and I get why they did it. He was a big cap hit. He would have been a big cap casualty. I think if we had an increase in the salary cap instead of the decrease, I think he would have been the one to be re-signed. But that wasn't the case, and you've seen it throughout the league. I mean, everybody had to let go of players that they didn't want to because of the decrease in salary cap.
Yeah, Janu and maybe Adoree are the two players that we let go.
I think letting go of Adoree is the best thing we did.
I think so too, but what I was going to say was that they got contracts that we were not going to pay those two players.
Oh,
maybe Corey Davis
understand.
too. Everybody else that we let go that signed elsewhere seemed like deals like if we wanted those players back, like Daquan Jones just last week signed with the Panthers.
For a reasonable deal.
Yeah, and it seemed like if we wanted Daquan Jones back, that was a deal we could have offered him. So it kind of sounds like
didn't play great defense last year, to be honest with you.
For what it's worth, it seems like John Robinson has a plan. He knows who he wants. He knows who he doesn't want.
That's right.
The plan didn't seem that great last year, based mostly on the draft, mostly on the free. Basically, everything he did last year was a catastrophe. But 2020 was a catastrophe. So can we really hold that against him?
No, you can't. And I think, I just don't understand the Janoris Smith besides the cap casualty. I think he just put in so much work and was so key for us that was a big hit. And I don't know that there's a player in this draft that we're going to be able to replace him with. This is a really poor tight end draft this year.
My one thought with why we would have let him go, obviously he got a big deal from New England. I kind of think, you look at the Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill contracts that went out last year, they were essentially 2-year contracts. So we were basically saying we're plotting these 2 years. That these are our 2 years to go for it. We're going to invest in who we've got for these 2 years. The first year of that 2 years didn't turn out the way I think they thought it would. So now I'm thinking the team probably was looking, well, after this upcoming season, the 2021 season, we're probably going to have to do something with Derrick Henry's contract. We're probably going to have to do something with Ryan Tannehill's contract. If we give Janoris Smith a huge deal, do we have the money to do that? That's my thought, at least.
I guess no, but I don't know if
so our 2-year window kind of went to maybe a 3 to 4 year window.
But with this new TV deal, they're talking an unreal increase in the salary cap.
Yeah.
So should be in pretty good shape, hopefully.
And maybe we're setting ourselves up for that, where when the new TV money comes in 2 years from now, we go from being a team that was tight on the salary cap to having all the power by cutting some time right now.
So do you want to talk about our free agent signings? I think we've had a couple big ones.
Absolutely, and I was interested to think, like, it feels like a good offseason, but it feels like it almost has seemed underwhelming. But I was thinking back to, like, the players we've signed. I compare it to, like, the offseason in soccer, where all you're talking about is who we're going to sign, 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 who we're going to sign.
I was refreshing Twitter when free agency started. It was every day, several times a day, just refreshing.
You get super excited about the signings you get. You start the season, and then about 2 to 3 weeks into the season, you start talking about, okay, well, who are we going to sign next offseason? Because things maybe are either going the way you wanted, maybe you weren't going the way you wanted. And I was thinking, if you took me back to week 3, week 4 of the 2020 season and told me next offseason the Titans are going to sign Bud Dupree and
Danico
Autry, I'd be like, holy crap.
Great sign.
Dynasty, give us all the rings now. But this offseason, because the defense ended up being so terrible last year, it kind of feels like a little underwhelming, like we need a lot more. Like, that's great, we got those two, but, and especially Dupree's coming off the ACL injury, it kind of feels like a little underwhelming.
So one thing that we mentioned the losses of Janoris Smith and Corey Davis. One thing we didn't talk about was the loss of Malcolm Butler, who
Basically our entire secondary.
Honestly, the only shining light we had in the defense last season, I guess you could say Jeffrey Simmons, but Jeffrey Simmons had no help and couldn't produce because he was double teamed and was destroyed. Malcolm Butler, I don't have the numbers in front of me right now, but I can remember them talking about it, was basically shut down against almost every team's number one receiver. He was exceptional, and I hated losing him. So we signed Janoris Jenkins.
And it feels like he might have been a sacrifice because we needed so much.
We got Jenkins for cheaper.
We needed to refresh so much on the defense that
we needed the money.
We couldn't have that investment in just one player. Your thoughts, Jesta?
I don't care.
Would you have rather kept Malcolm Butler or signed Janoris Jenkins?
The second one.
I think that's the right choice, because Janoris Jenkins has been a good player in his career, but he could easily be the next Jonathan Joseph. He could either be a really useful player that we signed on the cheap deal, or he's Jonathan Joseph 2.0. Good thought, Jesta.
Does it scare you how much he uses his hands? Janoris Jenkins has pulled a lot of penalties in his time playing for New Orleans because he's really a physical guy, which can be good. Sometimes you need somebody physical to rattle the receivers, but you can draw some pass interference plays when you don't necessarily need those. That worries me about Jenkins.
I honestly think pass interference is so screwed up in the NFL right now that there's no predicting what the refs are going to call on that, so I'm not worried about if a player is more likely to use hands or not, because the refs seem to pick and choose when they want to call that.
That's fair.
Right, Oli? Oli said yes, too.
So okay. Bud Dupree.
Are we really happy about that?
I'm excited. I am. I'm excited. I was a little worried initially about him being across from T.J. Watt, obviously, because T.J. Watt demands a lot of attention. And I guess I was listening to Greg Cosell or someone, and they said, look, yes, T.J. Watt may have drawn some attention, but that doesn't take away from the fact that Bud Dupree had to fight through and make those sacks. He wasn't not blocked.
Yep.
He was blocked, and he got around the blocks, and he made plays, regardless of how much attention T.J. Watt brought. Bud Dupree still made things happen.
And you got to think, Harold Landry had, 8 sacks last year when he was basically getting all the attention?
Did he get up that high?
I don't know. Maybe that might be an exception. But if anybody on the Titans defense had more than 5 sacks, that person was getting all the blocks. So just having anybody who could take pressure off either side of the ball leads to being better. The question obviously is, he's coming off the ACL injury, but I don't know that that's as big of a thing as it used to be. As an ACL survivor myself, you can recover.
Do we want to take a couple minutes and tell them how you tore your ACL in a board game?
Yeah, it was in an indoor soccer game.
Where he jumped over the couch playing Risk?
Somebody chucked me into the boards. My knee went one way, my body went the other.
It was seen.
ACL was
There was an old...
It's not a story that needs to be told. But as a fellow ACL survivor, I know Bud Dupree can come back just as strong as he was before, just like I have. I'm actually better than I was before post-ACL. So Bud Dupree, great signing. It's kind of weird, though, that it feels a little underwhelming, because I think the Titans fans were hoping that we were going to get one of the big names, that we were going to go big and splashy, but that's just never been our style.
Danico Autry, when I first heard the signing, you talk about underwhelmed. I was extremely underwhelmed. But then I started looking at his stats. He had 8.5 sacks, I believe, last year. He can play basically all the way across the defensive front. And if you combine his, 8.5 sacks and Bud Dupree's 11 sacks, I believe, somewhere around that last year, that's 20 sacks. I believe the Titans had 21 sacks last year. So we brought in 2 guys, just 2 people that have the equivalent of our entire sack total of last year.
And Autry is a double bonus signing in that it strengthens us and weakens our direct rival for the AFC South title, because, near as I can tell, the Colts haven't replaced him efficiently on their lineup, so it's great. Are there any free agents out there? I know we kind of went through the first wave of free agency. A lot of the big names got signed. There's still some people out there. Anybody you've thought of that the Titans should still look at, maybe in this second wave of free agency?
I've got 3 guys, and these are all veterans. We're still really tight on the cap. We're not. I don't think we can bring in and I don't think there are that many left, premium free agents. But I think we can bring in 3 guys on hopefully a team-friendly deal that could really benefit guys that we draft, could benefit leadership, which I think we may be lacking from losing Logan Ryan,
Sure.
Malcolm Butler, and Jarrell Casey. So number 1 is an edge rusher in Ryan Kerrigan from Washington.
Love it.
Really solid.
Love it.
Even in his declining years, he's still putting up great numbers. He can teach the new guys. I think it's a really solid signing. And then I think Casey Hayward, which is cornerback from the Chargers, who actually played at Vandy.
Solid guy.
Solid guy. Still out there. I think you get on a team-friendly deal. I think could come in and really help lead our defense. And then my third is
Javon Curse.
almost as...
He's a free agent.
Not quite as weird.
People forget that.
But honestly, Delaney Walker said he wants to play again, folks. Delaney Walker wants to play again. Would you sign Delaney Walker on a team-friendly deal? Would that be something you would do, knowing that we lost Jonnu Smith?
I think the caveat with that is the tight ends we have in-house right now are all basically receiving tight ends.
I thought they were more blocking tight ends. I think Ferkser is a better receiving tight end than Swain.
As of today, Mike Vrabel actually, or it was John Robinson actually in his press conference today, said they're really happy with the tight end group, but they need those tight ends to learn how to block. So
I don't know how you can be. You can say what you want. How are you going to be confident in Jeff Swain and
bleep
and Anthony Ferkser?
I'm not
after losing Jonnu Smith.
I'm not confident in them. I would love to have Delaney back. He's one of my favorite Titans of all time. But I feel like if the Titans are going to invest in a tight end, it's going to be somebody that can do both more so than Delaney probably. Delaney is probably a specialist at this point in time where he's only going to be coming in to catch passes. But I would love to have him back. I totally on the same page. All-time favorite Titan. Would love to have him back. Make sure that you bleep what this jack said.
Bleep.
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 Here.
All right, so one last thing before we break down the draft. Today, news broke that the Atlanta Falcons are listening to offers for Julio Jones. And I don't know if it's the Arthur Smith connection or what, but the Titans have been one of the teams that have been kind of linked and mentioned in discussions of who would be interested in maybe trading for Julio. What do you think?
So I believe he's 33, 32 years old now. He's been in the league 11 years. That's a long time. That's a lot of miles on a receiver. We've not had a lot of luck bringing in older receivers, whether it's Randy Moss, Andre Johnson, Rashad Matthews.
We probably only got from the Bills too. What was that guy's name? 100 years ago. Eric Moulds. We had Eric Moulds,
yeah.
yep.
So we've not had a lot of...
Now I'm totally against this. I was like so positive of this, and we just, in 2 seconds, I'm like, nope, let's not do this. Here's the one thing I would say. I think if, for whatever reason, I don't think it's likely to happen, because this is not the type of trade John Robinson makes. He doesn't make these big-time marquee trades. If he does, I feel pretty good about it, because I don't think Arthur Smith would do us dirty on this trade.
You wouldn't think so.
I would hope so.
He didn't leave on bad terms.
Yeah, I would think if we get Julio Jones, it means he's still got gas in the tank. But if, like, we don't, I don't.
But he hasn't really seen it. I mean, they
him.
haven't been in the building. They haven't been working. So, I mean, Arthur Smith may not know how well Julio Jones is doing at the moment.
That's true.
Because they're not doing the OTAs. So I don't know. It's interesting because Julio Jones has been dominant in his 11 years. He's been phenomenal. But we've had a bad track record of bringing in Hall of Fame wide receivers at the end of their career.
It is true. It is true.
It's not worked out for us in the past.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. John Vrabel, Robinson, if you're listening, I just don't think it's... unless it's for a 7th round.
Okay. Well, that's all I've got for the off-season recap. Let's go to the draft. Kyle has his 13-page document prepared. No idea where this is going to go. I've got some points I want to talk about. We'll get into it. I asked Kyle to do a first-round draft mock-up. I think he did that.
I didn't. I did not.
He did not. Okay.
Here's the reason why. Here's the reason why. I don't like full first-round mock drafts done by people that don't understand what's going on within an organization. I've read too many mock drafts. I've read hundreds of mock drafts, and there are guys that are just making guesses on teams that aren't their own, that don't necessarily make sense. And I think that happens a lot in mock drafts. And you see it a lot with the Titans because the media, they just don't put that much effort into what we do. So I didn't do that because I don't know enough about all 32 teams to make a good guess about what they would do. Now, my proposal is, and why I brought my laptop, I think we should do 2 mock drafts for the Titans, one with trades and one without.
Fair enough, because I was actually going to ask you, do you think the Titans will trade that pick? They're in that sweet spot where they're in the 22nd spot. It's either somebody special might fall to them, or it might be a whole wash, and they just trade back and to get some extra picks. Or if they see somebody they like.
We have so many holes.
We've got 9 picks.
We need to pick up extra picks. We need, because John Robinson's sweet spot is that second round and third round picks for him have been just solid gold.
I actually have a note here on this document that I prepared that John Robinson has not made more than 6 picks in a draft since 2017.
That is true.
We have 9 on the board right now.
Do you know how many 4th round picks John Robinson's made?
How many?
It may be 0.
Maybe 0.
It's fairly close to 0. John Robinson does not love 4th round draft picks.
So he's got 9 picks to start with. It sounds like he may have the MO to move up. He might have the MO to move down and pick up some picks in future years.
I don't think that there's anybody in this draft that's going to fall to us that I would move up for, with the exception of J.C. Horn. That is the one guy in this draft that besides Kyle Pitts, everybody loves Kyle Pitts and Trevor Lawrence.
He's not getting anywhere close to us.
He's not getting anywhere close. But there have been a handful of mock drafts that I've done where J.C. Horn has fallen close to us, and which is a shame because when I first, when draft season first started, J.C. Horn was really far down the board, and I was excited.
But because you bumped him up too much.
I did. Because I watched him against UT, and he shut down UT so bad. Which honestly isn't the great. But UT was playing a good game.
UT.
But he shut them down, and he was just amazing to watch. And I've heard comparisons of him to Marshawn Lattimore. He's really physical. He is the one guy that if he came within 3 or 4 picks, if we lost some to move up for J.C. Horn, I wouldn't feel bad about doing it. But that's the only player, honestly, I think I would trade up for. But trading back, some of my best grades, so I usually use Pro Football Focus just because you kind of get a grade on your draft. And there we go. Well, there was a home run from the Cubs, and I hate them. But I think trading back is absolutely something we should do. But John Robinson said today in an interview, you don't trade back unless you feel like there's some players that are high on your draft board. You don't trade back just to trade back. But I think if we can trade back and get a late first round and pick up an extra second and third, which kind of seems to work out in my mock drafts, I think that was absolutely something we should do. Because this, I think it was Greg Cosell said yesterday on a radio interview that this mock draft from 32 to 75 is just solid. Like, there's just a lot of really good players to pick up. So I'm absolutely for moving down.
Okay, so give us your predictions. What are we going to do in the first round?
Okay, so I made the first of my list is some possible first round selections for the Titans that we'll bring up. So number 1 is Tevin Jenkins. I'm sure you've heard all the rumors about him. So I've made this list, and I've started off some players that I know the Titans have actually met with, and some that are just wish list guys.
Have you noted if any of these players are aspiring rappers who might leave the NFL after only 1 season?
Funny you should say that. With Tevin Jenkins, his draft profile, according to some people I've listened to, is remarkably similar to Isaiah Wilson in the way he plays. Yeah. Not great for us. But
the way he plays, that sounds great because that was what sold everybody on Isaiah Wilson. It's more the fact that he liked to party in Miami and be a rapper and smoke blunts.
But he's a big, strong, mauler guy. Should be able to start right away. The sad thing is, it's another tackle in the first round. I think I sent you a text earlier. We've taken 5 tackles in the first round since around 2015, 2016. 5 tackles in the first round. We have whiffed on a lot. Jack Conklin, we probably should have picked up that 5th-year option.
Yeah, that was a weird one because he got hurt.
Dennis Kelly, and
he got hurt.
Dennis Kelly worked out.
I will say,
I hate that we did Dennis Kelly dirty, by the way.
I know, and I was thinking about this in the build-up to this video, is he's probably the player that we lost that hurts the most, because I thought, like, he played solidly. He was obviously
he meshed well with the team.
He was a locker room leader.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I noticed when we went to the Ravens game, we sat in the upper deck. It was basically like having a live view of the all-22. Is the Titans were doing so much max protect. It was basically 2 receiver routes every play, basically hoping and praying that A.J. Brown would somehow beat somebody. And Corey Davis got hurt in that game, and so we were down to, like,
one receiver.
Khalif, Raymond. So it was basically one receiver doing anything. And it kind of pointed out how badly we got hurt by Taylor Lewan being out. Because for a long time, it seemed like, oh, he went down, Taylor Sombrello stepped up, and then the next guy stepped up, and it was fine. But we kind of patched and covered up by doing max protect.
The teams like with good pass rush really exposed us, like the Steelers, the Colts the first time.
So it's kind of like maybe Dennis Kelly wasn't as good as it seemed on paper because we were doing so much extra.
But he was playing left tackle. Like if we could have kept him at right tackle with Lewan at left tackle, it would have been a better setup, I think.
Sure.
No, you're absolutely right.
People liked him. Everybody on the team seemed to be upset that he was gone.
I was upset.
Hurts, but
did you see the letter that he sent out? Like.
Great.
To the fans.
Great.
He told
so positive letter and told Buck Rising to suck it. Absolutely phenomenal. Best, like, because so many players, it feels like their agents or somebody wrote that for them.
Absolutely.
That was clearly Dennis Kelly wrote that because he threw in a shot at Buck Rising because
fantastic.
Dennis Kelly, you know why that was? Dennis Kelly's a Purdue grad.
And
Buck Rising is a famous Indiana guy, so it's perfect, and it was so genuine.
Yeah, because like, I believe Buck Rising's response was, "You Boilermaking back to suck it" in your farewell address.
And I don't know if you saw this, but unfortunately, Dennis Kelly is meeting with the Ravens this week.
I did see that. Anybody else? Anybody? It's like watching your girlfriend get somebody new. You're just like, not your best friend or not your worst enemy. Just somebody way out there in the ether. Somebody that's not good. Yeah.
Tragedy.
Like, go to the Patriots. Go to the Giants.
Don't go to the Patriots. Everybody hates the Patriots. Go Giants. That's a good one.
Yeah, go to the
everybody else go to the Giants.
Why not go to the Giants? Okay. So Tevin Jenkins, honestly, to me, seems like probably the pick we're gonna make. That just seems like a John Robinson pick. The next I have on my list is Greg Newsom, cornerback, Northwestern. Nice length, instinctive. He's fluid. He's a little light, could put on some weight, so there's some durability concerns there. And so he ran a good 40 time, and I didn't notice this, but maybe this is something I've read, that he doesn't play to his speed at times, like doesn't have a second gear. And I think that's really probably them being nitpicky. I think he's a really great cornerback and could be a good pickup. After that, I have Kwity Paye, who's honestly, everybody seems to think probably the best.
It sounds like he's going to be off the board before he was one that was like early days, maybe we would get him, but now it sounds like he's going to be gone before us.
From what so he's explosive, like you said, people say he's the closest thing to a sure thing. He's a little smaller than some guys would like, and he struggles against the run. And it sounds like he's not necessarily a pure 3-4 edge rusher. He kind of, a lot of people think he'll be run inside at the next level, which you don't necessarily need. But he sounds like a good guy. And then we have Rashad Bateman, who's really interesting. A great freshman year. He's a great route runner, good hand-eye coordination. He ran a phenomenal 40, but he's another one that Scout seems to think that he doesn't play to his 40 time. Like, he runs this 4.3 40, but you don't see it translate on the field. And then he also...
It's interesting. I was the opposite way as a football player. I had a terrible 40 time, +6 time in the 40, because I was like, I don't care about running this 40. But if I'm chasing somebody down, if I have to run, clock me when I'm actually having to run and do something in the game.
I play faster than my 40.
Same. We should go to the combine.
And he regressed his second year.
Do we have eligibility left?
Yeah, maybe. Now with the new COVID rules, we might.
Any NFL teams looking for 37-year-old linebackers or tight ends?
So his production wasn't as good as second year. That's a little concerning. He originally opted out this year and then decided to come back and play part of the way through the season. I don't like guys that opted out, and that's just me personally. Like when you look at Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence, like they push to have the season happen and maybe to increase their drafts.
Let me ask you about
their drafts.
What is the deal with the Justin Fields thing? Because I was like, after that college football semifinal where he went off, I was like, he's the first overall pick. I thought he was better than Trevor Lawrence.
I've heard some people say that teams will put out smoke and mirrors to bring a guy down so he falls.
I think that's I 100%
that's
think
the only thing
that
I
might
can
be.
think of.
I think the Patriots are doing that because there's been a lot of rumors that the Patriots love him and they want to give him.
I love it. I would take him. He's phenomenal.
I have no idea why he's fallen because after that,
I think his comp would be like Deshaun Watson.
That's what I think. That's what I thought too. I'm like, this is a guy. Like I think maybe he's hurt because he's being compared to recent Ohio State quarterbacks who have been flops.
Yeah.
And there's just weird maybe he doesn't love football enough, which is the stupidest thing in the world. It's
he literally advocated to bring the season back. He and Trevor Lawrence advocated to bring the season back. He loves football. It doesn't make any sense. And like you said, his appearance in the playoffs was just unreal.
So right now it seems by all indications the 49ers are going to go Mac Jones at number 3.
So there's a report today that their big two are actually Trey Lance and Mac Jones.
Which neither one,
I think
neither one makes sense to me.
Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport both reported that inside sources are those two. Why not just... and I watched a special on Trey Lance, and I like him a lot. He loves football. They wanted him to play linebacker. He could have gone to some better schools to play.
He's in a weird spot where he hasn't played a lot, so there's not a lot to look at.
Right, but he was like, look, that's not what I want to play. I want to play quarterback. So he went to a smaller school to play quarterback, and he played the hell out of the quarterback position. And he's got a lot of tenacity and grit. I think he's going to be a good guy, but I don't think he's as sure a thing as Justin Fields.
I don't either. The thing with Mac Jones to me, and he might be a really great quarterback in the NFL. You never know until they get there, but
he doesn't have the ability to make plays, to extend plays that everybody loves now with your Allen and Mahomes and
bigger than
Watson.
that. So here's his skill position players at Alabama: Waddle, Smith, Harris. That's probably the first two wide receivers.
Justin Jefferson.
Probably the first two wide receivers.
Jamar Chase. Come on. Look. Terrace Marshall. Look at what Joe Burrow had at LSU. It didn't bring him down.
And Joe Burrow sucked as a rookie. He's a weak. He tore his ACL.
Joe Burrow was phenomenal until he went down. It does make you look better having those guys, but like I said, Joe Burrow had as good, if not better, at LSU and still went number 1 overall.
That's fair, but I'm saying Mac Jones'
numbers last season were better, or not better, but on par with what Joe Burrow did.
The one thing that makes me think Mac Jones is legit is that in all the interviews with the receivers that have been asked, who was your better quarterback, Tua or Mac Jones? They say Mac Jones. So
I think Mac Jones goes to the Patriots, and I think
they're saying it's locked in now. He's the 3rd pick. That's who 49ers want.
But there's reports out that could go. If it goes Trey Lance, I think he falls to the Patriots. Who they had a guy. The Patriots had this quarterback. He wasn't real mobile, but he was good at getting the football around and making smart decisions. What was his name?
Drew Bledsoe.
No, he was after Drew Bledsoe. I think it was Tom Brady. I think it was Tom Brady.
Oh,
he wasn't real mobile.
Matt Castle?
Didn't he win 6 Super Bowls?
Yeah,
you don't have to run. Look, guys,
right.
Tom Brady did it with Tampa Bay.
He's all right.
You don't have to run and gun.
See, I think honestly, the Justin Fields smoke screen was created by the Patriots because that's who they want.
They did say, I guess, McDaniels has, after having a little bit of Cam Newton, likes the idea of a run and gun quarterback. So I do think they will. Honestly, they probably would go a Fields or a Lance over Mac Jones.
I think they're sitting tight. I think they're waiting to sniff it out. I would not be surprised if the Patriots jump up in the first round and get Justin Fields when all these other stupid teams pass on, because I think he's the best quarterback. I think he's better than Trevor Lawrence. Hot take.
Hot
take alert.
I hope
think
so.
he's better.
I hope so, because the last time that somebody in our division took a generational quarterback, it was Andrew Luck, and it didn't go well for us.
Urban Meyer's coaching Trevor Lawrence is going to be fun in the AFC South, because Urban Meyer's.
Yeah, he's only won a few national championships. It's not that big.
So, if you think the Jaguars are going to somehow, with this great position they're in, jump up and become a great team, look up what has happened with Fulham Soccer Club.
So
same people running it.
The last guy on my board that I think will be available at 1 is Elijah Moore. So we've seen a lot of his name lately.
Interesting.
He's gone up the board. Sorry. He's gone up fast. A.J. Brown loves him. That's actually right here in my thing. He's speedy. He's small, which doesn't concern me as much when you've seen what Tyreek Hill has done. Tyreek Hill may be an inch or two taller, but they're similar builds. He's speedy. He catches the ball. He's a great route runner. You just maybe worry about a little durability with him. I've actually done a couple mocks lately and seen a bunch of new mocks where he's actually gone before we get to the Titans. Matter of fact, several mocks I've seen today and the day before, most of these guys that I've mentioned that I like in the first round are gone before we get there. In that case, I've seen us take Azeez Ojulari, which before we signed Bud Dupree was my guy. I loved him before we made the Bud Dupree signing. I thought we were going edge. I wouldn't be upset going with him. I think he's really talented. He's fast. He's explosive. He's a great pass rusher. I think he's probably right under Kwity Paye. He may be a better pass rusher than Kwity Paye, but doesn't play the run quite as well. He's a lot more athletic. I don't know. And the thing is, you see all these guys recently going off the board before we get to 22, but then up until this week, I've seen where they drop to the low 30s. So I don't know. I still think dropping back and picking up an extra second or third would be the best for us. I mean, like I said, I've got a bunch of guys here. Eric Stokes, a cornerback from Georgia. He ran a 4.38 40. No, 4.28. He was sub 4.3. But that's a pro day 40. Mm-hmm. They say add a tenth of a second on. Aaron Robinson from Central Florida. Started out at Alabama, moved over. These are both great man coverage guys. Fitu Melifonwu from Syracuse. He is a big, long, tall, really strong guy. He plays a little bit better in the zone, but still should be good in a press man. And honestly, a guy that I've started really looking at lately is Elijah Molden. He's listed as a safety / cornerback. Everybody thinks he'll be a safety or a slot corner, which we need a slot corner. So I think he would be a good pickup. Are there any cornerbacks that you've looked at that you think stand out?
I have heard people talk about Asante Samuel Jr.
So I think he's a really talented guy. The only reason he's not on my list is because he played a lot of zone, and everybody seems to think with the pickups that we've made that we're going to be doing more of a man coverage. And that's the only reason he wasn't on there. He's phenomenal, legacy guy. I think he'll be really good. I didn't put him on specifically because of the zone coverage. To me, I've heard a lot of people say wide receivers deep, and it is. But I think the cornerback class this year is better in the middle than the wide receiver. I think you've got a lot of 3 or 4 just amazing first round receivers, and then there's kind of a drop, and they're all serviceable after that. I think the cornerbacks are really, with the exception of J.C. Horn, Patrick Surtain, I think the rest are kind of all in the same group. Even Newsom, I don't think he's that much better than everybody else. And I've seen a lot of people bring up Caleb Farley. I don't like Caleb Farley because of a torn ACL and 2 back surgeries.
That's a lot.
We've had a cornerback with health issues, and I just don't think that's the way to go. I don't know.
So, is there one dream, absolute first-round pick where if he somehow stumbles to the Titans?
J.C. Horn, hands down.
J.C. Horn.
Cornerback, South Carolina. If he's there, you take him. He is just going to be a stud. I guarantee it. He's Kyle's lock, and I've had several. The year that we took, was it Kendall Wright? I called into the zone. I was like, we should have taken Dante Hightower, and they laughed at me, and they're like, no, Kendall Wright's going to be great. You know what happened? Dante Hightower is a
American potential Hall of Famer.
Okay, so I'd like to talk about our draft needs for a second. So, obviously we've lost a lot of guys. We've picked up some. There's still some glaring holes on our team. So what I see most often is wide receiver, cornerback, tackle, guard. One thing I don't see mentioned a lot that we've talked about is tight end. I think that's a bigger need for us than it may seem because of the loss of Jonnu Smith. I don't think people realize the impact that he had on our team. So I think that's a bigger need. I think it'll be taken higher than we look at. Matter of fact, John Robinson has only picked, I think, 1 tight end as a GM, and that's Jonnu Smith. And he has had several visits and Zoom calls with tight ends, and it's a pretty solid fact that if he meets with somebody, they're really high up on his draft board. But so, to you, what do you think's higher on the list if you had to go wide receiver, cornerback, tackle, guard? Like, of our needs, what seems like the highest?
Man, that's a tough question. I think the wide receiver has become very thin right now. We've obviously signed some players that can fill out the depth.
Reynolds, right?
So, we've got good depth at the position.
Do you think?
I don't think we have that real number 2 that we need there. So to me, a lot is riding on how the players we drafted last year turn out. If Kristen Fulton comes good, quarterback's good.
Right, we just need depth there.
Exactly.
And if Fulton turns out to be good.
Wide receiver to me is a position where we don't have a clear...
We got Johnson. Where did Johnson play? Was that a Texan? I know we got Reynolds from the Rams. No, Johnson was played at the Browns. Okay.
But I feel like we got the good depth there, but we need the actual real number 2 at wide receivers. Like, that's the thing I think we're lacking more than anything.
So I agree 100%. So to me, wide receiver is the biggest need. With cornerback, you signed Janoris Jenkins. Really should be, unless he has a major drop off like Joseph, should be a really solid guy. You've signed several tackles. You have Ty Sombrello coming back, who could probably be a pretty solid right tackle.
And we also signed the guy from Cleveland.
The guy from Cleveland. And then guard, you've got Nate Davis and Safford. And then Brewer, who turned out to be a really good backup. To me, wide receiver is the biggest glaring hole, and then tight end. So our offense won us basically every game last year. Yeah. We can't afford to regress on offense. Our defense can't get that much worse.
No,
so if we don't fill these holes on defense, it's really, like, to me, how do you get work? We're at 28, maybe, the ranked defense. So if we don't fill those defensive holes, we can't get that much worse. Oh. But if you fail to fill these offensive holes, you're in bad shape. So I agree with you. A wide receiver 2 and a slot. You got to think we're losing Adam Humphries, who a lot of people don't know. Like, if you look at the numbers, our production on first round dropped dramatically after losing Adam Humphries.
Yeah,
he's a first round snagger. Like, it was an automatic first down if you threw to him before he got hurt.
Well, the problem is he only played like 6 games for a second.
And those 6 games were phenomenal. What,
Exactly.
What was our record in the first 6 games?
Probably a lot better without him. So, like, yeah. But he was...
We were better in those first. We went 5-0.
Yeah.
You didn't do great after that.
Yeah, that's saying, gotta replace him, though. He couldn't do it, so gotta get somebody who can.
So we got to look at guys that are a solid number 2 and a slot. We need another solid starting cornerback. We need another probably good tackle, guard, and a tight end. I think tight end's a big need. So
I agree.
For the tight end.
All right, so I've got some bets that I'm interested in that I want to get your feedback on that I think are interesting. All right, right off the bat, this first one I think is washed at this point in time because the information that's come out makes it seem like it's washed. But when I first wrote this down, Fields to be the number 3 overall pick.
He won't be number 3.
Pretty
Sounds
high.
like
pretty
it's
high. I thought there were some smoke screens going on. Like maybe like I'm really high on him. I really like Justin Fields.
I do. I'm there with you.
But it seems like
I don't think he's going to be the number 3
It's clearly
pick.
going to be Mac Jones, if not maybe
Trey Lance.
So Fields seems to be out of that. It was very plus money. It was a really interesting bet just for the money of it, but it seems like that one's a wash.
Yeah, I don't think that's a safe bet now.
Here's one that's interesting, especially with like how the quarterback shuffle goes out. The Pats' first pick to be a quarterback.
I think it's high. I do. I think they take a Mac Jones or a Justin Fields. I think they take the 4th quarterback if it falls to them.
Like, I feel like
there are some mock drafts that say they'll move up to take the quarterback.
I could not be any less surprised if like all this like Justin Fields chatter was Bill Belichick smoke screening the entire NFL to screw over everybody getting the best quarterback in the NFL so he could like trade up to get him at like 13.
Obviously, so the Patriots haven't taken a first-round quarterback in probably, 30 years? Or I'd have
Since
to go
Drew
back.
Bledsoe. Since Drew Bledsoe.
Yeah. And
I don't even know who was the first-round quarterback.
it's just not what they do.
But they clearly do not want, like, they're not, they signed Cam to a one-year deal.
But they've,
for like nothing.
they've also never gone out and just spent money but they've spent money uncharacteristically this year in free agency. They went on a spiel of signing players that was just completely unheard of for that organization.
This bet basically, they have to trade up because they're not in a good position to get a quarterback.
I think that there's a pretty good chance.
I think it is too. I
think that's a safe bet. I think there's a good because they've been so uncharacteristic this offseason. I think Bill Belichick did not like watching Tom Brady win the Super Bowl with Tampa and then losing out on the playoffs. That did not sit well with Bill Belichick. So they will do whatever they have to do to move ahead. And I think moving up for a quarterback is absolutely within the realm of possibility.
All right, so next pick I would like to have your thoughts on is Kyle Trask, Florida quarterback, over/under being drafted by the 2nd round.
I think he's going to go 3rd or 4th. I think he's been dragged down so much. So he's in a lot of the same boat that Mac Jones is.
See, I think he's the guy that somebody's going to go crazy for. Like, if they all snatch up all the early quarterbacks, somebody's going to panic and
move up. You think they'll go in the 2nd round?
This is my prediction.
What's your prediction?
This is my prediction. Those first 4 clear quarterbacks are going to go Fields, Lance,
Lawrence, and Jones.
Yeah, and somebody's going to panic. I think it might be.
Because I think Trask is the 5th.
I think it might be the Chicago Bears, to be honest.
Because
they have a history.
Trask?
They drafted Mitchell Trubisky.
They
Keep
did.
that in mind. Keep that in mind.
I think Trask would. Okay, another bet. I don't know what the numbers would be, but I think Kyle Trask would be better than Mitchell Trubisky.
I don't know if you can bet that. But I think there's a chance the Bears or equivalent team will panic in the 1st round and feel like all these other quarterbacks are gone. We have to get our guy. If they don't draft him at their spot, I wouldn't even be surprised if somebody trades up.
If the Titans took him in the 5th or 6th round, I don't think he'll fall that far,
great.
but I think I would take him.
It'd be great. So, but
I don't think
I think there's a chance
he will go in the 2nd.
I think there's a chance he goes in the 1st because I think somebody will panic and feel like we have to draft a quarterback.
I mean, there is precedence where
Trubisky.
Where players start coming off the board and people panic. They're like, "Hey, we need a quarterback."
I think it could be the Bears. I think the Bears could do the Trubisky again, where they're like, "Oh crap,
we've seen it." That's what I love about the draft is you see all these mock drafts.
The Raiders could do anything. The
Titans could do anything. When was the last time the Titans picked a first-round draft pick that you thought they were going to pick, if ever? Did you think they were going to take Jeff Simmons? Did you think they were going to take Isaiah Wilson? Honestly, to me, this is a little bit of Kyle knowledge here. I don't acknowledge last year's first-round draft.
It was a crapshoot. Because
last year's first-round draft pick was Christian Fulton, because in every mock draft before, we were slated to take Christian Fulton in the first round last year. So to me, we never took Isaiah Wilson. He was never a Titan. We didn't draft him. Christian Fulton was our number 1 pick.
So basically what I'm saying here is I think we got the 4 quarterbacks. They're going to go in the first round, clearly.
Kyle Trask will go 5.
Does anybody panic and go him early in the first round?
No.
Okay.
Do you think they will?
I would not. I mean, quarterbacks have become such a premium.
Let's make a bet then. We'll make a beer bet. We'll make a 12-pack beer bet that I say he doesn't go in the first round.
Okay.
Matter of fact, we'll make it. We'll make it. I don't think he goes in the first 2 rounds.
Wow. Beer bet. I'm writing it down. I don't know what that means, but I'm writing it down. Okay. So here's an interesting bet, and this one is crazy. This one is not necessarily one I think is going to happen, but if I want to make money, if I want to get good odds. First running back drafted, Travis
Etienne.
Or everybody assumes it's going to be Najee Harris.
I assume it'll be Najee Harris.
The money's not there for that. Travis Etienne is plus money. You can make a good amount of money if you bet on him to be the first running back taken.
I don't think so.
You don't think there's a team that looks at him, sees that he could be more dynamic?
So
he is playmaker.
He is shown to be more dynamic. He's shown to be more of a home run hitter than Najee Harris. But Najee Harris was a Heisman candidate.
Right.
He's got an all-around great game.
So see, I think if you're betting this, you're betting that somebody sees him as somebody to come in as a specialist, as opposed to somebody thinking Najee Harris is probably there.
I think the smart money is on Najee Harris being drafted before Travis Etienne.
That's fair. Some of these aren't ones that you're gonna make money. This is just, do you want to make money is Etienne, because Najee Harris is an insane favorite to be the first pick. So you want to make money if you picked him. So okay, this is an interesting one. Speaking off the Trask one. Total quarterbacks taken in the first round, over 5.5 or under 5.5?
Oh, under, absolutely. I think you do those first 4, the big names, and I don't think you have another first-round quarterback after those 4. I think you take the under.
So you got those.
Safe bet.
You got those 4 right off the bat.
I think they're absolutely first-round draft picks.
But if somebody reaches for Trask,
I just don't.
And then if somebody else goes insane and it's somebody like Kellen Mond,
No, I don't think that'll happen. Nobody needs that many quarterbacks.
Quarterback is the premium position in the NFL, and now if you can get a rookie quarterback on their rookie deal where it's not counting you against the salary cap.
That's fair.
The Packers took a quarterback last year. They have the best quarterback in the NFL, your favorite quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, and they drafted a quarterback in the first round.
I can't see. If it was over or under 5, just the 5, I could see maybe a 5th taken. But the 5.5, I don't see. There's a small chance to me that Kyle Trask, like you said, could maybe make it to the first round. I don't see it happening, but it could. Somebody after Kyle, I don't know who you have after Kyle. There's a guy from
Kellen Mond?
No, there's a guy from not Washington. There's a guy from Stanford or somewhere. I'd have to look at
Gardner Minshew.
No, there's a Wills or Willis. I can't think of his name right now. But there's actually another quarterback that's listed in most top 100s above Kyle Trask. Everybody's real worried about Kyle Trask being good because of Kadarius Toney and Kyle Pitts, which I don't know if they're worried about that with and his decision-making skills and this and that. Apparently, Mac Jones, I watched a little bit of the Kirk Herbstreit. He's doing the specials with all the quarterbacks, and everybody loves Mac Jones's breakdown and how he sees football, but they're not saying they didn't do it with Kyle Trask. I think, no, I wouldn't take that bet. I would go on the under. Absolutely. Your smart money's on the under.
Okay. Next bet that I find interesting, quarterbacks to be the first 4 picks. So we're pretty sure the first 3 are going to be quarterbacks.
I think
Falcons have the 4th pick.
I think the Falcons either A, trade back, or B, take Kyle Pitts. Now,
But if they trade back, who's trading in that spot? What did they want?
Touche. So I think if the Falcons take that spot,
somebody has to be giving them the bank to get
the
Kyle,
story is
if they don't want Kyle Pitts right there.
That Arthur Smith is fine with Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's still playing good football.
Yeah, sure.
Matt Ryan's playing good football. So he'd rather have Kyle Pitts, which is basically even above Trevor Lawrence. Everybody thinks Kyle Pitts is this year's Chase Young.
To me, that pick for the Falcons is: do you want a player that's going to immediately improve your offense, or
Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones,
do you want
Kyle Pitts,
or do you want more picks to build your team?
You don't need to build a team when you have Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, and Kyle Pitts. That is excuse me,
bleep.
That is a slam dunk offense.
It 100% is, but is that what they're going for, or are they starting to look to the future?
I don't know why you would want to. The Falcons have the ability to start winning right away with that offense. The Titans have shown that you don't have to have a phenomenal defense if you have an offense that can produce. And I think with Kyle Pitts, Calvin Ridley, and Julio Jones and Matt Ryan, I don't know how you can't produce points. Especially with an offensive-minded coach like Arthur Smith.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Do you think Pitts goes there? There's no chance they trade out.
I think they could trade out. I think... I think there is a chance because I don't know that Arthur Smith, even as a tight end coach, values... I mean, look how little he used Jonnu Smith in the years that he's been with the Titans.
But I think they had to change the way they use them. But I think that's interesting because I think I think the way that bet would work is
somebody moves in.
If you think the Falcons are staying there, they're probably taking Kyle Pitts.
They're taking Kyle Pitts.
If somebody trades there, they're taking the quarterback.
Absolutely.
So, do you think that pick is getting traded or not? If you think it's getting traded, quarterbacks for the first 4 picks is the bet.
So who would move up? So you have...
Broncos have been rumored to be interested in moving up and to getting a quarterback.
We just don't know how much Elway loves Drew Lock.
Patriots are sniffing around fields.
But Patriots may not have to move up that far to get the guy that they... I mean, they could probably get the guy that they want in the top 10.
Son of a gun.
And there we go.
Wait, that's not us. That's not us.
Sorry, folks. False alarm.
Sorry.
No,
that's the thing. I think
I don't know who would move up into that spot to take a quarterback. Is basically where I'm at.
If the Titans could move up and get Justin Fields, I'd be all about that.
I love Tana Thrill.
He's great. He's great, but he's 34.
He's not that old, is he?
Yeah, I think he is.
He was drafted in 2012.
All right, so let me go with another bet that I'm interested in. Hi, Sissy.
I love you, Sissy.
Okay, I got 2 bets, and I think these are tied to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So they're interesting. I got Trey Lance under 5.5 or Pitts over 5.5 because I think they're tied together because I think it's the Falcons pick. Do the Falcons take Pitts there, or does somebody trade ahead of the Falcons?
The Falcons take Pitts and stay where they're at because he is just... So there's a new term this draft that I've heard thrown out that I haven't heard before, and that's a generational talent. That's a new thing that's being thrown around. And I don't know, who knows what that really and truly means, but I think Pitts is a game maker. He was almost the entire Florida offense. Kadarius Toney was good, but Kyle Pitts was unbelievable this year. And
Pitts is to the point where I've heard people say that if they didn't need a quarterback, the 49ers should consider drafting him, even though they have Kittle because that would give them just like so much weaponry.
Double
Both-
tight.
Yeah. Old school Aaron Hernandez, murderer, and the
Which
other
is
guy,
what
and Gronk.
Patriots are trying to do with Jonnu Smith. And who else did they sign?
Hunter Henry. Yeah.
Real ridiculous. Yeah, but to that level, yeah. I think Pitts is hard to pass up. I think Pitts will be... I think you're safe with an under 5 for that pick. I really do. I think the Falcons go with Pitts. I think Arthur Smith likes... I mean, look what he did with Ryan Tannehill. So you have somebody like Matt Ryan, who is probably a better quarterback than Tannehill. It's hard to say because Tannehill is with Adam Gase. And we've seen how Adam Gase is not
Panthers
conducive.
are probably going to win the NFC South this year. Now that Darnold's free.
Darnold's going to be the new Peyton Manning because he's not. Adam Gase is not conducive to good quarterback play, apparently. No, I really, honestly, I think you see Pitts at number 4 to the Falcons. I could be wrong, but I do think you see Pitts at the Falcons. What do you think? What would your pick be?
I think that kind of depends on like what people will throw at the Falcons to get that pick. Like, if they stay there,
What would you give up to take a... It's basically what would you give up for a generational talent like Kyle Pitts? Like, what is he worth?
I don't think anybody's trading to that spot to get Pitts. I think if anybody's trading that spot, because the Falcons need
I would trade to
Pitts.
that spot for Pitts.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like the Falcons need Pitts. So if anybody's trading that spot, it's to get like somebody that they believe is like the quarterback. So we know the first 3 quarterbacks, and there's 2 more. There's Lance, there's Fields. So if somebody's trading that spot for 4th, it's for a quarterback.
Okay.
So do the Falcons believe that Pitts is so important that they can't trade that spot out? That's the question.
I would. If I were in their position with the weapons that they have, I would absolutely take Pitts.
But they're also in an interesting spot where, like, they've got Matt
Do
Ryan.
they need to replace it? The only
Yeah.
reason you stay is to replace Matt Ryan or get Pitts.
Yeah, they have that option too. They can say, Matt Ryan.
That's the thing.
good
Like,
for
people
now.
say if they hang at 4, they're either replacing Pitt or replacing Ryan or getting Pitts. I think going for Pitts, obviously, if I was a GM, is what I would do. I think Matt Ryan's got a couple years of good football left.
Yeah, but also they're in a position where, new coach, new time.
I mean, if you can get a 2nd and a 3rd and maybe a 4th.
Yeah,
or,
do they go for it now, or they just like say, hey, let's get as many picks as we can, rebuild the team, start
because we got a new
doing there.
head coach. Yeah, no, it's there.
That's probably the most interesting spot in the entire draft is that 4th pick is what do they do? Because they could take a quarterback for the future. They could take Pitts to build their offense. They could trade it to some like wild card team who like freaking the Patriots might come out of left field and be like, we want Justin Fields. We're giving everything for you. That's the pick that's going to make the whole draft insane. Is that 4th pick? The first 3 picks are kind of like
They're set in stone,
Dunzo
basically.
at this point. There's like smoke screens now where people are like, oh, well, we don't know who the 49ers might be interested in 3rd. It's like the 49ers did not trade into the 3rd pick without knowing exactly what they wanted to do.
We don't know what quarterback.
I think they do.
Well,
You don't do what they did without knowing who you wanted.
It's absolutely a quarterback, but whether it's Trey Lance or Mac Jones.
I think they knew who they wanted. I don't think you
They
knew what
knew,
they did.
but we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. But they knew.
They knew.
And I think
it's one of the 2. It's either Trey Lance or Mac Jones. It's not Justin Fields, apparently.
Yeah,
which to me blows my mind.
Crazy.
It's dumb.
Like, I mean, hey,
Kyle Shanahan, if you want to be an idiot.
just keep passing him up. If he falls to the Titans at 22, I would take him.
I would take him. I would waste that first round pick.
Tannehill's great. He's not young. He's
not a young guy. If I could have Justin Fields behind Tannehill for 2 or 3 years, I would do it in a fucking heartbeat.
John Robinson.
Excuse me.
John Robinson. Just do it.
Just do it.
Like that.
You don't. If Fields dropped all the way to 22, would you take him?
Absolutely.
I would too.
Absolutely. Like, I'm an on-the-field guy. I remember thinking back, it's kind of funny because, like, there's been reports coming out of San Francisco that Shanahan wants Mac Jones, but the scouts are telling them Trevor Lance, which is, like, giving me flashbacks to when we had the chance to pick any quarterback we wanted, and we had Jeff Fisher wanted Leinart,
Which wasn't good.
Norm Chow wanted Leinart,
Wasn't good.
Floyd Reese wanted Cutler, as a homer, that's who I wanted.
Who had the better?
It was Cutler.
It was Cutler. I wanted Cutler. Obviously, as Vandy fans, I wanted Cutler.
But Adams wanted Vince Young
because of the Texas connection.
And it was like, I kind of was like, yeah, Vince Young. I mean, she had just won the national title, showed out like a baller.
I wanted Cutler so bad I couldn't.
The homer in me.
I never wanted a Cutler.
The homer in me
pick so bad.
The homer in me wanted Cutler, but like coming off that national title game, like I was okay with us getting Vince Young, and I think Vince Young could have been good if things had gone a different way.
His Wonderlick, like he just, and I've heard people talk about him in retrospect, like he had all the physical talent in the world. He just, like his reads and just wasn't there. He, like, well, he's a Lamar Jackson. So I've noticed in all my mock drafts that they seem to be graded better if we trade back. So hopefully, I think we trade back. If not, who would you take in the first round? What position? What's your number one? That's the end of this whole special. What would you take first round?
I feel like the position that if everything plays out the way we need it to, we need a wide receiver.
We need a wide receiver really bad.
Like Kristen Fulton is inherently supposed to be our new number one.
I hope so. I hope so, because I wanted him so bad. He's my first pick at cornerback, and we got him. So I hope he's not a bust.
What do you think?
Now I need to.
Yeah, I think we
right back home.
Our biggest thing is we need a wide receiver. We need a second thing to take the pressure off AJ Brown.
I think we need a wide receiver. I think we need 2 wide receivers and a tight end. I don't see us taking that much, but we need a number 2 wide receiver because I don't think Reynolds is it, and I think we need a slot to replace Adam Humphries, and I think we need a tight end that can catch to replace Jonnu Smith.
Yep.
And
Yep.
tight ends aren't deep. Wide receivers are really deep in the slot position. There aren't a lot of number 1s and number 2s.
Well, fingers crossed the Titans get what they need.
Oli, who do you think?
What's your best bet? Who you want to pick?
Who are you going to pick?
Do you want to be a Titan?
If you were going to pick, who would you pick?
He's got nothing.
Rashad Bateman.
Rashad Bateman is Oli's pick. That's the pick for us. Follow along with the draft